Hey guys, welcome back. I'm going to make a video this morning explaining everything you need to know about doing a two-wheel drive Chevy Squarebody Cummins swaps. Crew cab and regular cab does not matter. I will be covering both. They're pretty much the same. So follow along and we'll get right into it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to get is obviously the 12-valve Cummins VE pump or P pump. They're both the same as far as bolting in, so get one of those. Now, you have to decide, are you doing a manual transmission or are you doing an automatic transmission? Because if you're doing a manual, you're going to want either a Getrag 360 or an NV 4500, okay? That's it. Don't do any mixing of Chevy transmissions or Chevy NV 4500s with the Dodge. Dodge only, okay? Because then it bolts right up and it's easy. It's worth your time finding one. If you're going automatic, there's one transmission that I'd recommend. If you're looking, like if you're going for an expensive, crazy build, then you can do 4L80 Chevy transmission or whatever. But if you're looking to have a good, reliable vehicle that's easy to work on and the swap is fairly easy to do, the only automatic transmission I'd recommend is the Dodge A518 transmission that came in the first gen Dodges, because it's a 3-speed with an electric overdrive. So you just put the overdrive on a switch and she's good to go. So Dodge A518 transmission. There's also a 727 Dodge transmission. It's only a 3-speed though, so you're gonna be real slow. So unless you're doing rock crawling or just running on trails and stuff, which it is a good transmission for that because it is strong, use the A518 because it has overdrive. Oh, there's a few parts that you're gonna wanna buy right off the get-go. So I'm gonna list those here. You're gonna wanna get the PA Performance 1-wire alternator. It's like $450 Canadian. So that is about, I don't know, 375 American. You're gonna want that. You're gonna wanna get these motor mounts. Now you can get them on Summit Racing, or you can go on eBay and find them too. I ordered them from eBay and from Summit. They both seem to be the same exact company that makes them. So that's what you're gonna want. Okay, so now that you've got those two parts there and you're ready to do your swap, you have your motor, you have your transmission, you are ready to go. So now this is where things get a little tricky, okay? If you have we're doing two-wheel drive trucks only, okay? So if you have a two-wheel drive truck and it's an automatic, so the Chevy that you're putting the engine into is an automatic, you're gonna have to do some modifications to the transmission tunnel, whether you're putting an automatic in or a manual, because it sits quite a bit lower. Now, if you have a pre-1980s truck like this one, you can actually just buy the tunnel and you just pull your carpet off, you can unbolt the tunnel and put a different one in, like for a manual transmission. But if it's in a newer one, you have to do some modifications. Now, I didn't have to do that because this was a manual Muncie 465 truck before I did the swap, so I already had the manual transmission tunnel. So if you can find one, highly recommend it, because your clutch pedals will already be in there if you're doing a manual transmission, and the tunnel will already be higher. We'll get into the clutch pedals in a little bit, but just keep that in mind. If you are doing a two-wheel drive, I highly recommend trying to find, with a 5-speed or an automatic, highly recommend trying to find a manual truck. It just makes your life a lot easier, because then you don't have to do a bunch of cutting. So keep that in mind. So the Summit motor mounts, they bolt right to the block, and they come with instructions, very easy. They bolt right to the block, and then they go right into your Chevy clamshell. So you don't have to do any cutting, any custom fabrication work. The only cut that I had to make on this entire swap was right there, and I know it looks greasy, for the harmonic balancer. That's the only cut I had to make, and it just drops right in. The starter clears and everything. Now, if you are running AC, which you can, you have to notch out your frame for the AC compressor. So keep that in mind. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to be dealing with here is the wiring. So as far as the wiring goes, there's a few little things to tell you here. Pretty simple. Before you pull your engine, there's a few things you want to do. Before you pull the 6.2 big block or small block that's coming out to put the Cummins in, you're going to want to find your oil pressure sensor wire, your coolant temperature sensor wire, and your starter exciter wire. And you're going to want to find a fairly thick gauge wire that has power when the key is on and cranking, okay? So once you marked all those wires, you're going to take there's a big cluster of wires that goes to the starter. They're not part of the main power or the exciter wire. There's like 3 of them that go to the Chevy starter. You're gonna bunch all those together, okay? Tape them all together. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna go over to your alternator on your Chevy before you pull the engine. And all the wires except the ground, you're gonna bunch all those together, okay? Now, when you put the Cummins back in, you're gonna take all those wires from the alternator that you bunched together and all the wires from your starter that you bunched together, and you're gonna bunch all of them together, and they're gonna go straight to the positive terminal on your battery, okay? Your oil pressure sensor wire, you're just gonna have to buy if you had a big block in the truck or a small block or whatever, you're gonna have to buy the temp sender sensor, and just put it in your Cummins where there's a spot to put it in. And same thing with oil pressure, just plug it in, and then all your factory gauges will work. Now, for that starter wire, same thing. The Cummins just has one exciter wire, so just hook up your starter exciter wire to that, and you're done. And then for the main power feed wire, this is where things get a little bit different between P pump and VE pump, okay? So the P pump, I'll put up a wiring diagram for you here so you know what you're dealing with, because there is a bit of a pigtail there, and I'll just put a wiring diagram up. You will be able to see how it works, okay? A VE pump, there's a little fuel shut-off solenoid, and it's grounded through the solenoid, so it's actually fairly easy to do. I'll put up a little wiring diagram for that too. And if you have basic knowledge, and if you should be able to figure it out, and if you can't figure it out, then you maybe shouldn't do the swap. It's extremely easy to figure out the wiring for the little fuel shut-off solenoids and whatever. So I will put that up for you guys. You can screenshot it. Okay, so now that we've figured all the wiring out, and that's all of it, like that's all the wiring, you're done. Easy. It takes like an hour to set it all up. So the next thing to kind of figure out here is, are you wanting to run the mechanical fan or electric fans? So if you are using the big block or small block radiator, I wouldn't recommend using a small block radiator, but if you are, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that your fan will not fit if you're using the Chevy radiator. Now, if you use a Dodge first gen, so 89 to 93 radiator, the fan will fit. But I wanted to use my Chevy big block radiator just because it looks nice in there. So I put an electric fan on the radiator, and you can wire that in, you can figure that out. But that is how that works, because the first gen radiators are quite a bit thinner, so that will fit in like right in front of your core support there, and then there will be room for the fan. So keep that in mind. The alternator that I put on the list there for you guys is this one right here from PA Performance. It's a one-wire alternator, one wire to ground, one wire to the battery. It's internally regulated, highly recommend, and you can even get the one with the tack wire option, which is what I did, because then you can put a tack on your truck. And let me tell you, it's extremely hard to put a tack on if you do not have that alternator, because you have to rig up something with a harmonic balancer, and it's a big pain in the butt. So you got the engine in, now it's time to bolt the transmission up. So if you have the automatic, I've never personally done an automatic swap, and I don't know if the Chevy automatic linkage will work with the Dodge A518 linkage. I know you can buy ratchet shifter kits that just bolt in and use a cable with and it comes with all the brackets you need. So I'd recommend doing that because it'd be very easy. So you'll have to do your own research on that. But if you're doing a 5-speed swap, like I said, if you have a manual truck, a 2-wheel drive manual truck, it will go right in, except for you're gonna have to move the hole in the tunnel back about 10 inches for the new shifter, because the Dodge transmissions are quite a bit longer than the Chevy ones, so that where the shifter comes up, you have to move it back in your tunnel. So you're gonna have to do some fabrication work there. Now, this is where things get a little difficult, okay? Highly recommend that you look for a manual truck, like a factory stick truck, before you do the swap, because adding clutch pedals in and everything is a huge pain in the butt. It can be done, and I've done it, but it's a huge pain in the butt. Now, if you do have an automatic truck and that's what you're going to use, this is what you're going to want to do. You are going to want to find a set of clutch pedals, or like it comes as a clutch and brake pedal assembly from a Squarebody, because it bolts right in. Now, once you got that figured out, probably the most annoying part of the entire swap is getting your hydraulic master slave cylinder clutch assembly hooked up to the firewall for your clutch. Now lots of people have done a lot of different things. What I did was, here is the Dodge master cylinder for the clutch. I had to cut all this. You can look at where I had to cut out a bunch of crap on the firewall here to make it work. But you'll see how it works there. There's a push rod and everything, so you're gonna have to make your own thing. I'm gonna put a link in the description here. There is a company, I believe in Tennessee, that makes a hydraulic master slave cylinder that's a much easier to mount to the firewall than the Dodge one that's meant for doing the swap. So I'll put that in the link, or I'll put that in the description. You can figure that out. You'll see how it works. You don't even try to use the mechanical linkage. It's a huge pain in the butt. Just figure out how to use the master and slave cylinder. It's pretty self-explanatory. When you see it, you'll understand. What I did was just, you can see the push rod right there. Just hooked it up to my clutch pedal and it goes into the master cylinder there. So that's how that works. Excuse all the messy wiring under here. I am still working on it. So yeah, like I said, the Chevy clutch and brake pedals do bolt right in to the automatic trucks too. So have to do a lot of hacking, or not a lot of hacking, just a lot of pulling stuff apart, but you can figure it out if you really want to. But like I said, you can find a manual truck first, you're way farther ahead. And see how I had to move back the hole here? I still have to clean that all up. So that's what you're gonna have to do. This is an NV 4500. The engine's in, the transmission's in, it's sitting on a jack stand, and you're trying to figure out what you want to do about a cross member. Now I made my own cross member. It's pretty easy to do. If you have a welder or basic fabrication skills or know somebody, it's very easy to make a cross member. I don't know if you can see mine there. There's mine right there. Just 1x3 tube there. Goes to the frame rails. Pretty simple. So like I said, if you are trying to do this swap, you can probably figure some stuff out on your own, because it is a little bit of work and a little bit of thinking. So I'm not going to try and explain it all, because you have to do some critical thinking on your own. Now you are going to have to get a custom drive shaft made, and this is where things might get a little expensive if you don't have the parts. When you buy the transmission, whoever you buy it off of or wherever you get it, try and get the drive shaft that was with that transmission, because it's going to have the splined yoke that you're going to need for the output. And what you can do is take the two drive shafts, the one from the Chevy and the one from the transmission that you're putting in, take it to a driveline shop and get them to mix it for you, so you can have the right ends that you need on either side. And make sure you measure it all and everything and get them to do it. You can figure that out, but like I said, if you can find the drive shaft that went with that transmission that you're putting in the truck, then you mix the one that was in the truck with the new one, and that's how you do that. So if you're running an intercooler, which is a huge pain in the butt, you have to pull out your core support, which is behind there, and cut out everything from this bracket right here. Cut all of it out all the way to here if you're using a first gen intercooler. My recommendation is, guys, just clock your turbo, which I'm sure there's videos on it, but yeah, clock your turbo. There's a snap ring, big one right behind here. Just pinch it in and you can turn this whole housing and just go straight to your intake there. Now you're gonna have to use a 24 valve intake horn, because the 12 valve one will not clear your valve covers if you're doing that. That's what I recommend you do though. Very easy. But yeah, so now steering, power steering, and hydroboost and all that. So if you have hydroboost, which is great, I love hydroboost, and I would honestly recommend converting to hydroboost. Like, even if you don't have it, it's very easy to install. It bolts up just like the other brake booster. I would put hydroboost on. It's really cheap to find at Pick and Pull. So let's not even talk about the other one. Put hydroboost on. What you're gonna do, very simple. So it goes like this: pressure from your pump to your hydroboost, and then this line back here, right here, gives pressure to your steering box, and then right here, and then your return line back to your pump there. And then here's the return line from your hydroboost. And you can just put a T in the line and mix them. Because the earlier the first gens, the power steering pumps only have one return line spot. So you can just T together the return line off the steering box and the return line off the hydroboost and put it into the one return line on the pump there. If you have 94 and up 12 valve with a P pump, there's 2 spots for return lines on here. You will figure that out by looking at it. It's very easy to figure out. So, but remember, pump, hydroboost, then steering box, then return, okay? All the lines, all the fittings are the same all the way around, like between Chevy and Dodge. So you will figure that out by looking at it. But you can plug and play with the Chevy and Dodge power steering pressure lines. So the last thing that I'm gonna mention here to you guys is some people say, oh, you can't use the Chevy tanks if it's a gas tank and everything. I've done 2 of these. You suck out the tank, all the gas that was in the tanks, and you just put diesel in, and then you just run the lines, and that's it. Because it's not a high pressure fuel system that needs a sump, right? It just sucks fuel, mechanical fuel pump. So that's pretty simple. You don't need to try and goof around with putting a sump into your gas tank. Just suck all the fuel out that's in the tanks, and then just hook up your lines like they were, and you're good to go. Because there's a return line and a fuel line on your 12 valve here. Just hook them up how they were on the Chevy, and you will be good to go. Now you're gonna have to, when you get it all together, crack all your injectors, which are these right here. Just crack all of these and just crank for like a minute until you see oil, or I mean until you see, well, it is oil, since you see diesel squirting out of all of them, because there's going to be a ton of air in the line from everything that you've done. If you have any questions or anything, let me know, and I will answer them. I love Cummins and I love Squarebody, so I've had probably 20 of them, so I do know a few things about them. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will do my best to help you. I hope this video has helped you. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will talk to you another time. Thank you.